Isn't that illegal?
Hello children. Christmas is a time for stories, and some of the best fairy tales ever written are found in a big old book called the Holy Bible. Today I'm going to tell you a story about the very first Christmas, even before religious people started to complain about signs saying Happy Holidays. Long ago and far away, in a town called Nazareth, there lived a woman called Mary, who was engaged to be married to Joseph, a local carpenter. Now, although Mary was still a virgin, Joseph had been to second base a few times already, and technically a blowjob didn't count under ancient Jewish temple law. One day, someone who called himself the angel Gabriel arrived in town. Gabriel had heard about Mary's love of kosher meat and went to see Mary. He waited until he knew that Joseph was away on business for a couple of days and wouldn't disturb them. But he told Mary that God had sent him and that he had a message for her. Mary was sceptical. "Look, I don't want a copy of the Watchtower, so just fuck off and talk about God somewhere else." But Gabriel persisted. "Mary, you have been chosen to have a special baby. The baby will be the Son of God, and you will call him Jesus." Mary started to get worried. "Look, I don't know what you've heard about me, but I don't turn tricks anymore. I'll give you a quick hand job for 20 shekels, but that's all you're getting." Gabriel knew that time was short, so he knocked Mary lightly over the head with one of Joseph's hammers and dragged her inside where nobody could see. Next morning, Mary woke up with a banging headache. Her clothes were all messed up, and beside her was a turkey baster, which she didn't recognise. Her lady lips felt a little bit sore, so straight away she put two and two together. "The bastard!" said Mary, for God's love was now inside her. Several months later, after a rushed wedding and a host of dubious excuses to Joseph and the neighbours, Joseph and Mary set off for Bethlehem for the honeymoon. Joseph was still a bit confused about Mary had managed to be with child, but Mary assured him that you could definitely become pregnant by swallowing it. The honeymoon was all booked, but at the last minute the travel company went bankrupt, so the horse and cart was cancelled and Mary had to ride on a donkey. Worse was to come, because Joseph had forgotten to confirm the hotel booking, and when they asked about their rooms, the innkeeper told them to sleep in the pigsty. Mary whispered in his ear, took him to one side for 10 minutes, then returned, wiping her hand and telling Joseph that they had been upgraded to the stables. Mary knew that if she hadn't been pregnant, she could have got them the penthouse suite, but the innkeeper didn't do fat girls, so the stables it had to be. Joseph and Mary were both exhausted and fell asleep. That night, Joseph had a strange sex dream involving a short woman wearing a white coat. But when he woke up, all he could see was a sheep with a worried look on its face and some wool inside his underpants. Mary was in pain and told Joseph she was about to pop the baby out. Joseph held her hand and told her to breathe deeply and it would be all right. "You fucking breathe, you fucking stupid bastard. I've got a fucking head like a fucking beach ball coming out of me. Get this fucking baby out of me," said Mary. And it was so. The baby was born on Christmas Day, which meant that he would now get 2 sets of presents on one day, but most people would just buy him one big present. "Jesus Christ, that fucking hurt," said Mary. And hearing this, Joseph said that sounded like a good name for a baby, so that was that sorted out. Over on a hillside, some shepherds had been drinking and decided to go into town on a pussy hunt. They found no women at such a late hour, but from the stable where Mary had given birth they heard the bleating of a sheep. "Hear that, lads? Lamb sandwich tonight. Mine's the one with the prettiest face." And they burst into the stable with their big shepherd's crooks held tightly in their hands. "What the fuck are you doing here?" said Joseph. "Can't you see my wife's given birth to the Son of God?" The shepherds looked at each other and nodded, for they had heard this story before. "Gabriel," they agreed, "the crafty bastard." Meanwhile, 3 wise men had been following a bright star in the sky. "I'm telling you, it's a fucking meteorite," said one of them. "And I say it's Venus in conjunction with Mars," said another. "You get Venus shoved right down your face," said the third. "Stop arguing, I think we're here." The first wise man read the sign. "Son of God Hotel, this is the place. Where's the baby?" Wise man number 2 pointed to another sign. "Deliveries, round the back. Come on, they're in the stable. Mind that cow shit." Oh, too late. What happened then was not nearly as funny as that scene from Monty Python's Life of Brian, so we take up the story much later. King Herod heard about the birth of the King of the Jews, and he sent his men to kill all the babies in Bethlehem. Although they tried to escape, Jesus, the baby Jesus, was sadly killed. So Joseph and Mary had to adopt. He was a lovely little boy from an orphanage in Malawi, who they also called Jesus, and he grew up to be responsible for all kinds of wars and arguments before being put to death over a dispute over Easter eggs. And that is the story of the Nativity. So remember, when someone brings a Christmas message to your door, stab them through the chest with a kitchen knife. They're only there because they've come to rape you. Merry Christmas, everybody. Oh. Merry Christmas. Meat pie. Lovely. I'll finish. You can go. There's no more. Honestly, I'll finish now. Keep watching. There's nothing happening. There's no sequel. Are you still here? Bugger off.
Isn't that illegal?
Censor your kids' ideas. Censor your child's inspiration. Censor all that. Expect a really heavy return spring, because you know what? That kid's going to turn her on you, and you're never, ever going to have a part of his life again.
Casting off the chains of the world.
But enough about me.